You exist inside of an echo chamber, and we have been taught that echo chambers are bad. We should do everything we can to demolish them and get outside of them. And to some degree, echo chambers can be a negative thing. But if you are on a self-development journey, if you are dreaming of manifesting your dream life, if you are ready to make the changes necessary, an echo chamber can actually be a great ally for you. But until you become consciously aware of what it is that you are taking in, what it is that is influencing your subconscious, which is everything, all of the time, until you become aware of the influences around you, the people, the places, the situations, the environment, the things that are on your feed, if you are unaware of how these are impacting you, then they are controlling your thoughts without you knowing it. Becoming aware of the fact that you are in an echo chamber and that you have the ability to curate it is a major way that you can start to reprogram yourself subtly without a whole lot of external effort, while also starting to pay attention to and putting things in your feed and your environment that allow you to align more with your higher self and with the version of yourself that lives in the reality that you desire. We have been warned about echo chambers, and the fact of the matter is that even if you attempt to get opinions and information outside of what you normally pay attention to, if you are not aware of the way that these things are making you feel, if you are not aware of the ways that they are reinforcing the roles that you have previously played, then regardless of what side this information is coming from, it's still going to reinforce a program of potentially it's fear or anger or helplessness or hopelessness. And if the goal is to live a life that is aligned with your highest self, the life that you truly desire to live and you know is possible, but you just aren't there yet, you need to audit all of it at some point in your self-development journey. Probably after becoming aware that you are on a self-development journey, but not too far into it, you do need to do a life audit. And a life audit is stopping and getting really serious and looking at everything in your life and how it is impacting you, how it is reinforcing or helping you to change roles and beliefs. And this is everything. This is people, this is friends, this is family, this is activities, this is what's coming up on your feed, this is your job, this is your environment. This is even such things like your decor, things that are on your clothes, things that are influencing you in very subtle ways, things that you are paying attention to. All of this matters because your conscious mind can only process a very small amount of information, but your subconscious mind never, ever sleeps. It hears, it sees, it remembers everything, perceives the external reality and the way that you feel, which in turn projects the external reality, because that's how this works. You don't get what you want, you get what you are, you get what you feel. And in order to get to a place that things are easy for you, you attract money, you attract wealth, you attract opportunities, you have to become the person who deserves and feels like that's easy for them. And this is a long process of both doing conscious, unconscious work, healing work, mantras, and body work, all of it. It all matters. But one of the easiest ways to get sucked back when you're doing the conscious work is getting those subconscious influences from people, places, situations, old beliefs that are being reinforced subconsciously. And so when you look honestly at your life, maybe you have a job that potentially pays the bills, but you are doing way too much work for way little money, and the boss just doesn't respect you, and you don't feel like you can do anything because you've heard over and over again, the economy's bad, jobs are hard to find, XYZ. But let's say you see people on social media all the time starting businesses. You see people around you getting new jobs with way more money. Those are two conflicting beliefs, right? You're hearing maybe on the news or from some particular people in your life that everything is bad, everything is hard, there are no jobs, you better keep the crappy one you have. But you're also seeing people make way more money than you ever imagined possible, being their own boss or finding better roles, maybe the ones that are remote, maybe ones that only have them work 30 hours a week. How are these things two different realities? They're a choice. The way that you focus, the way that you think about work, the way that you think about money determines what your brain focuses on, because your brain is a pattern detector. It's going to show you what you already believe. And that's why this life audit work is a mandatory part. If you are maybe not even consciously, but subconsciously hearing news that says the economy's bad, XYZ, all of these bad things are happening, everybody's losing their jobs. But you notice over here, it doesn't seem to be true. You can audit that aspect of the news out of your life. If people talk like that around you, you can say that's their reality. Money's easy for me to make, and then come back to what you actually want to focus on. You cannot control what other people say around you. You cannot control everything that you see or hear. You can get better about curating it and being more intentional about what you take in, but you can't control everything. But when somebody says something that goes against the beliefs you are installing and perhaps hits that old program, and that program says, I told you so, I told you so, you can say, I no longer believe that. I am making the conscious choice to believe that money is easy to make. There is always an easier way. There are always other jobs. And then to focus on the people who are building the life that you want. And to focus on the people who are succeeding. To focus on the news stories, or I would not even engage with the news, but to focus on the stories of people who are literally doing everything you want to do, because there are so many people doing exactly what you want to do. So you have the conscious choice to make the decision about which of those two realities you focus on. Friends and family members and people in your life, this can be a little more difficult. And a lot of people find that when they start to change, when they start to evolve, when they want something different and they actually start to go for it, the people that are closest to them, the people they expected to support them, are actually their biggest adversaries, the ones who try to pull them back the most. Why does this happen? There's a couple different reasons. Particularly when we talk about family, if your role in your family is a toxic one, or there is any sort of neglect or abuse, even if it is not conscious, any sort of addiction happening, when you start to outgrow the role that has been projected onto you, there are two ways that that family system can respond. It can either adapt around that new role, or it can freak out like an immune system that has an invader in it. A lot of the times people see that it's the latter, that the family system will not adjust, because that would mean that those people around you who have decided that you are helpless, who have decided that you are codependent, who have decided that you are an addict, whatever it is that these people have projected onto you, if you outgrow that role, then they don't know who they are in relation to that new person. And that takes a lot of inner work. And a lot of people don't want to do this work. A lot of people say they want their lives to be different, but when it comes down to it, the inner work is both the easiest and most difficult thing you will ever do. It's the easiest because it's only you. Only you can do it. It's between you and what you decide and what you curate and what you change and what you think. Nobody else, once you become aware, can control your thoughts except for you. But it's the hardest thing you've ever done, because it is literally dismantling every single belief system, understanding that everything is a program, and looking at yourself and going, oh my God, it has been me this whole time. I have been the one staying places that I know I deserve better, but I didn't think I could get any better. I am the one who has been learning this lesson over and over again, but never actually getting the message. I am the one who has had the choice to move on. I am the one who has to do the work. And so when you do the work, you start putting in those hours, you start watching all of the content, you start actually journaling, you start going to therapy. People around you in your life who aren't doing this are going to go, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you responding? Why aren't you reacting anymore? You don't seem angry anymore. But that reflects onto them that they haven't grown. And most people don't like mirrors when it reflects that they aren't growing. And one of the most important steps for this healing is actually removing yourself from those systems, going low or no contact with these people until you get to a place where you are evolved enough, healed enough, because it's a journey. It's not like you're here and they're here. That's not the right idea. It's more, you are healed enough to see that they are reacting and responding from wounds, and it's not about you, and that you know your self-worth enough to know that I will walk away from this person, not as a way of being like, ew, I don't like you, whatever, but as a way that I love myself more than I need to sit here and listen to stuff that no longer serves me. You can say, I love you, but I'm going to protect my energy. Maybe not in those words, maybe in those words. Everybody's relationship is with the people around them is different. And that's a crucial part of this life audit. A lot of people don't understand that it is better to be alone than to be with people who pull you down. And this is coming from somebody who spent the last year, 2025, alone a lot of the time until I started curating, right? I cut everybody out of my life who reminded me of the old person I was outgrowing, who tried to project their old rules onto me, who tried to keep me small for their own comfort. And it was hard and it was scary and I cried a lot. But over time, I found safe people. I found people who reflected the qualities that I desired to see in myself back on me. I found mentors. I found a good therapist. I found groups that I could go to, and there was a lot of support and a lot of positivity and a lot of self-encouragement and growth and awareness. It is better to be alone for some amount of time and then specifically choose who is allowed in your life than it is to stay surrounded by people who are keeping you small. And if you truly want your life to be different, you have to truly look at these relationships. Look at the way these people are making you feel. Let's say you have a friend who every time you go out together, all she wants to do is talk about how broke you are, about how she doesn't have any money, how she's always so broke, how you guys are both always, so desperate for money and you'd do anything and all of this stuff. That is a lack mindset. That is a scarcity mindset. And your subconscious mind is eating that up. Whether or not you are consciously believing what she said, your subconscious is like, oh yeah, this reinforces the program that I've always heard. Money's hard to make. Oh, I don't know where I'm going to get money. I don't even like saying the BROKE word, honestly. It does not pass my lips. There's two ways, right? In Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he says that the rich dad in his life looked at money and said, if he could not necessarily afford something right then, he didn't say, I can't afford this. He said, how can I afford this? What do I need to do to make enough money to get this? Because I can do it. Poor Dad said, I can't afford this. I don't have the money for this. There's nothing I can do. Two people, the same maybe monetary goal, monetary amount, two different mindsets. One said, how can I make this work? And the other said, I can't. Your subconscious mind loves a good question. Affirmations are asking questions about how things can happen, or why is it so easy for me to make money? Why do so many opportunities come to me? That's a different video we're going to be doing on all the ways that you can reprogram yourself and how to actually start incorporating more of this. Right now, we're just learning about the subconscious. Right now, we're just going to focus on this life audit part. So again, becoming aware of the ways that the people around you are reinforcing old programming, reinforcing old outdated beliefs. If they are not supporting you in your journey, it's okay to cut them out. It's okay to go lower contact. It's okay to not give them as much energy. And look, a lot of people are going to become very upset because they don't understand. But when somebody reacts upset with you, it's not about you. It's about their own wounds. And they have to do the inner work to heal just like you do. You are not responsible for anybody's response or reaction ever. You are only responsible for yourself. And that's where your power comes back. When you say, I'm responsible for myself, you are having a reaction. I see that. I love you. And I will return, maybe not, whenever I feel like it is healthy for both of us. And then you move on. A major way to audit your life is your social media. When you scroll social media, does it make you anxious? Does it make you feel helpless? Does it make you feel insecure? Does it make you feel bad or negative in any way? Then stop. You can curate your social media to be absolute hope core, to be absolutely nothing but things that make you feel joy and happiness and faith and inspired. Because I don't scroll social media often, but when I do, I leave feeling inspired. I leave feeling like, oh my gosh, I learned something new. Wow. I'm so in awe that that person created their dream life. I love that these artists are making so much money for their art. I love that so many people are creating financial freedom from the cage to freedom. I love this. I love what I see. And it wasn't always like this. I used to collect memes that were political or, mental health memes that weren't positive or weren't, that were funny, but weren't good for my subconscious. And I scrolled through a folder I had when I was trying to delete it, and I didn't even consciously read any of it, and I felt dread and anxiety. And that's how I knew what I was consuming was poisoning me. You cannot continue to take in information that makes you feel anxiety, helplessness, fear, greed, any of it, and grow, because that stuff is highlighting, because that stuff is bringing into your system lots of things to be afraid of. Well, that doesn't serve you. Fear is a necessary part of this journey, but if you are being afraid of things that have nothing to do with your life, that you can't change, that you have no control over, stop paying attention to it. If you can't change it, don't think about it. Seriously. And the beautiful thing is the algorithm will give you more of what you pay attention to. And if you weren't aware of this and you've just been kind of like mindlessly scrolling and not being aware, now you are. And you've got two choices. You can unfollow, use that unfollow button, anything that no longer serves you, unfollow, unfollow, unfollow. And you find accounts that make you feel inspired, that make you feel hopeful, that make you feel like, yes, you can. You don't know how yet, you don't have to, but it's possible because they did it. I see myself in them and they did it. That's what it's actually for. You know, that echo chamber, that positive hopium echo chamber, you need that. Or you start all over. You delete your old account entirely and you start from baseline. And if you are scrolling and something starts to make you feel anxiety or dread, go past it. Don't interact with it. Don't like it. Don't comment it. Because here's the thing. The algorithm doesn't know whether you love this thing or hate this thing. It just knows that you paid attention to it. And it will give you more of what you pay attention to. Pay attention to things that make you feel hope and growth. And if maybe you can't, or you don't feel like social media is helping you at all at this stage in your journey, get off entirely. That was part of my journey. I had 6 to 8 months where I did not look at any sort of social media at all. I was actually off many of the other social medias for well over a year, but I did not use any for about 8 months while I was on this journey. And it wasn't until I felt capable of curating it in a way that was beneficial to me that I got back on and then did so. There are also many other aspects of the life edit, like things you are eating. What are you consuming? If you are not eating mostly whole foods, or if you're not even aware of the ingredients of the food you're eating, that is a major step in starting to go, okay, what is actually going into my body? Because what goes in is what comes out. And unfortunately, in this country, a lot of what is legal in our food is something known as generally recognized as safe. That means they haven't done a whole lot of research on it, but it didn't really kill the lab animals that they tested it on. So you can eat it, except rats live for about a year to 2 years. Humans live for about 80 to 100. Small amounts of poison accumulate over years, right? A lot of preservatives used in this country are banned in every other country, or most other countries. A lot of food coloring is banned in every other country. A lot of people don't know that highly processed food has been researched to be as highly palatable, as crunchy, as salty, as colorful as possible to trigger your brain to go, oh my God, I need to eat so much of that. And in other countries, there's actually warning labels on it. Here's another one. A lot of the tobacco companies, when people stopped smoking so much in the 90s and 2000s with the anti-smoking campaigns, they actually divested their resources into highly processed foods. So there are particular tobacco companies that I'm not going to name here who actually own a large portion of the big food companies as well. They are keeping you addicted. You might not even be aware of it. Becoming aware of it means you can change it, right? Start paying attention to what is in your food. Start paying attention to where sugar is on the ingredient list, because there is so much sugar in everything that once you actually eliminate sugar, if you accidentally buy something, like I accidentally bought a spaghetti sauce that had like a gram of sugar in it, I was like, oh my God, this is so sweet. Because you don't need it. You are just unable to taste it because it's so prevalent in everything. And you have the ability to change this. You do. You have the ability to make other choices. You have the ability to choose the lesser option. Maybe it's not perfect. Screw perfection. That's not what we're trying here. We're just trying to be a little bit better. So maybe if you have 2 options and you notice one has 8 grams of sugar and one has 6, you choose the 6. That's progress. Becoming aware is progress. Everything that is going into your system affects you. Everything, whether it's in your body, your mind, your soul, it all impacts you. And if you want your life to be different, you have to become aware of the things that are limiting you. And then your environment, right? If you are in a very cluttered environment, it is cluttering your mind. They are pretty much the same. There is nobody who works better in chaos. I just don't believe it. It is just a way of going, this is so overwhelming to me that I can't even process how to do this. It's fine. It's fine the way it is. It's not fine. It's hurting you. And that doesn't mean if you are living in chaos and that you just don't know where to start, that you say, I'm going to clean my whole house tomorrow. No, you pick one corner. You set out 3 boxes: donate, keep, sell, and maybe a question mark that you just can't process right now. So 4 boxes. And you just start throwing things in those 4 boxes. And you see, and when you start to see a little bit of clarity and you're like, oh, I feel better. Oh, there's some clean. Oh, there's some space. Oh, I can think. Because the universe cannot give you what you want if there's no space for it. Like, creation comes from destruction. Creation comes from the empty space. There can be no creation without the void, without the emptiness. And if your space is cluttered and filled with stuff that no longer serves you, it's not showing the universe that you're open to what comes next. You are just at capacity. The important thing about doing this life audit is that there is no judgment. There is no shame. There is no blame. That doesn't mean that those feelings might not come up, but instead of shaming yourself for where you are now, I encourage you to take the opposite approach and thank yourself for getting you where you are now. Because everything that you've been through, every choice that you've made has led you to this moment. And if you are on this video in this moment, it's because you're ready for change. You're serious. You can do this, and you're ready to do this. And everything led you to this specific moment. And now that you are aware, now that you are conscious, you have a choice. You have the ability to do the life audit, to look at what's been holding you back, to look at your self-limiting beliefs, to look at your environment, to look at the people around you, to look at the way you talk to yourself. That's going to be an entirely different video because this one's getting kind of long, but we're going to go into how to learn to talk to yourself, how to learn to speak in a way that benefits you, as opposed to attacking yourself, which is what so many of us do because we aren't really conscious. It's so much of the way that the vernacular works is we're just kind of saying things all the time, but those words are spells. You are constantly casting spells on yourself with the way that you speak and the way that you believe. The ancient people knew this. It's just been buried with the whole Western imperialist strong data. But here's the thing, the observer effect is a thing, right? So a photon of light is both a particle and a wave. So a photon of light is a wave until it is observed. When it is observed, it collapses into a particle, which means that until it's observed, it exists in every single possible configuration at every moment. That's the way everything around you works. And so the same works for research. If you're going to observe it and have a specific outcome in mind, you're going to influence the outcome. But take that on a broader scale in your life. If you have a specific outcome in mind, if you have a specific belief system in mind, your brain is going to repeatedly show you evidence of what you believe is true. It loves to do that. So why not choose something better than what you have always believed? If you've always believed that you're a failure and nobody likes you, understand that those were limiting beliefs and programs installed within you when you were a child for whatever reason, and you can do that work, and you should and you need to, with a therapist, with a trained professional, somebody who is actually really willing to help you grow and change. And then you come back to the present moment and you say, now I am an adult. Now I choose to believe that I am worthy of friendships. I am worthy of success. Success is my birthright. So we work top down. We work both top down through our conscious mind, through repeating the affirmations, and bottom up through our self-conscious by bombarding ourselves with hopium, with positive things, with seeing people who are doing the thing we want to do. And when you come at it both those ways, you're going to have a lot more success than just doing one or the other. You need both. And you need to understand that as you start to do this work, as you start to do this life audit, a lot of this stuff, old memories will come up, a lot of old beliefs, self-limiting beliefs, they're actually going to get louder because you are challenging the program. You are challenging the beliefs that you had. And so it's super important that you continue to provide your brain with new evidence. Become aware in your life audit of everything that reminds you of the old programming, of everything that reminds you of your old life, of everything that makes you feel small and broken and whatever it is, and continue to transform it a little bit at a time, right? This doesn't mean that you wake up tomorrow and everything's perfect. It doesn't. Perfection is not our attempt. It's 1% a day. It really is small, but depending on where you're coming from. And so many of us came from so much trauma that we've never processed, so much pain that we've never felt, so much fear and anxiety that we've never really looked at, that this is a lot. And doing any amount of this work is huge. And you should feel really proud of yourself because most people never do this work, but that's why most people never change. They say that people can't change, and that's just fundamentally wrong. Anybody can change at any time, but they have to become become aware that they are the reason that they are where they are because they have never become aware. It is a feedback loop. By becoming aware, by understanding that you have the power to control your thoughts, by understanding that you are the one who has stayed or who has continued to take in information that no longer serves you, you can change. And that's why starting at the bottom is such a wonderful thing, because you can start and go, everything's gone, let me build something else. It really is you and your choice to do that. And so building an echo chamber of positivity, even if that means silence for a while until you know what it is that you want. And we'll go into how to know what you want, how to know what you don't want, how to get there as well. But until you know what it is that you want, maybe you just sit in the silence. Maybe there aren't a lot of people in your life. Maybe it is just, a period of integration, of learning what you've learned, of now figuring out what comes next. We as a society have this idea that we always have to be on to the next thing, always doing the next thing. But then in that, we never take the time to figure out what we really want. And if you don't know what it is that you really want, sit in the silence, sit in the uncomfortable stillness, sit in the, I don't know where I'm going, and figure it out. Take the time to figure it out. Do the bare minimum you need to do to survive, and do the inner work. Heal. Start to actually heal. Start to actually process those traumas, because trauma is just something that happened that's stuck. It's stuck in time. And when you start to heal, it's going to move. You're going to start to thaw. You're going to thaw that out, and it's going to feel painful. And that's a good thing, because pain means that it's actually moving. If it's stuck, if you're frozen, if you're numb, then you aren't actually able to feel any of this, and there's no change happening. And so the healing work and the manifestation work and the life audit work, they are all a necessary part of reprogramming yourself, of allowing yourself to live in this present moment and to know that every potential reality, just like a wave, exists in every conformation. Every potential reality is in front of you, is an option. And which reality you end up in is a choice. You cannot control the 3D around you, but you will get more of what you are, what you believe, what you tell yourself when you continue to show up as the version of yourself who is that person, and you stop allowing external influences to influence you. You stop allowing things to tell you who you are, and you start to make that decision, no, I know who I am. And that's when everything changes. That's when those opportunities that you never would have seen before show up in your life. That's when you have the courage to show up as yourself. That's when you can say, hey, somebody doesn't like me. That's the first time in my life I've always been such a people pleaser that I've always just bent. But I don't do that anymore. And if you don't like me, awesome. That means I know I'm myself. But it takes being radically honest about who you are, where you are, how you got to where you are, and understanding that you have the ability to curate your life. You have the ability to create the echo chamber that makes you feel like you are capable. And that's all you need, is the belief that you're capable. All you need to get out of where you are is the courage to say, I can. I don't know how and I don't know when, and that's not up to you. It's to say that I can. And surrounding yourself with voices that lift you up and say, yeah, you can. Whether they're parasocial, whether they're AI, whether it's just vision boards and positive mantras written on your walls. You need that, because if everything around you has been telling you that you can't for so long, every single piece of information, every single piece of evidence that shows you the opposite is going to be challenged by those beliefs in your mind. But you have to continue to stay in that, yes, I can, because you can, because other people can, they have, they will, they are, and so can you, because there's nothing different between you and anybody else. Your circumstances or situation might have been a little different, but no matter where you are, there is somebody who is also there with you, and somebody who is beyond you, and somebody who is behind you, and every step matters. So when you are ready to get serious about the next stage of your life, you need to audit your life. You need to curate your environment. You need to decide that you want to be different, and then not let anything stop you. And if something is continually bringing up old beliefs, or somebody is constantly reminding you of who you were, they don't belong in your life. Maybe forever, maybe just for right now, but while you're on this journey, you focus on you. You create that positive echo chamber. You create your hopium feeds. You create that delusionally perfect, you create this environment of positivity that is so encouraging that you want to keep going back to it, that you don't scroll when it makes you feel anxious. You only scroll when it makes you feel inspired. And if you start to feel anxiety, you stop, because you can control your thoughts. You cannot control your feelings. Your feelings are valid, but you can control your thoughts. And in controlling your thoughts and controlling your words and controlling your decisions, you have the ability to decide your destiny. So no matter where you are right now, I encourage you to sit down and audit your life. Look at where you are. Look at why you are where you are. Start to pay attention to the ways that people are talking around you, the way you talk about yourself, the things you're eating, the things you're consuming, the things you believe. No judgment, just awareness. And if something comes up and you don't want to talk like that anymore, don't scold yourself. Say, I don't believe that anymore. I believe this more positive thing, and then move on. And every single time you come back to that new reality, that new positive self, that new higher version of yourself, you are rewriting these programs. And it takes time, and it takes consistency, and it takes a lot of stillness and silence and sitting in the unknown, but knowing that the longer you are in this state, the more that you do this, the easier it will be, and the faster reality will reshape itself around you. I'll see you next time.